The MotoGP World Championship is underway once again, and we are here at the wonderful Algarve International Circuit in Portimao, Portugal. The green light is on for a half an hour free practice 2 session. Let's cross over and join the boys trackside.
It's that situation, it's a chicken and the egg situation, so you don't want to go out, but like you said, the last thing you do want, if you think we've got half an hour basically just over before qualifying starts, you'd like to think it should dry, but you only need a few big wet patches, and we know what it's like. It always takes a little bit longer for the curbs to dry.
And that caught a few people out yesterday.
Caught a few people out. We saw in Moto 2 the Aspar boys both going down, braking on the curbs, couldn't see the moisture, and down they went, face planted. The horrible situation you've got is when it is qualifying, you have to, as you'd say, take your brain out, hold your breath, close your eyes, however you want to phrase it. You have to push sort of over your limit, really.
Yeah, I wonder whether Raul Fernandez's crash was maybe a touch curb.
I think it probably was.
We didn't hear from him. He didn't do any media last night, but it felt like one of those. I mean, he looked shocked and dazed by it all, didn't he? He was properly slammed down, clearly, and he did go back out, I will say, in the afternoon and had all the checks and seemed to be okay. But yeah, it's a tricky circuit. It's just strange, Sylvan, isn't it? It's this low sun, why it isn't drying quicker.
Low sun, yeah, and it is cool at night, so it takes a bit of time in the morning for the temperatures to come up. The wind is very low as well. I mean, we normally have a bit more wind, and normally that helps with the drying. Another characteristic of this track as well is that when it starts drying like this and you've got, patches, it's actually quite hard to see them. You see the sun is sort of low and it's
glistening, isn't it, off the top?
Yeah, so it makes it hard to see it. And with all the undulations of the track, you come up to sections that really are blind, and when everything is dry, it's fine because you kind of like have your rhythm and you know where you're going. But when it's patchy like that and you need to sort of pick your line, it's difficult to improvise. You can't see those patches from far away, so it's going to be tough for them. It's drying very, very slow, and it looks like for qualifying it's going to be touch and go to have a fully dry track.
We've seen this so many times, haven't we, actually, in recent years. I'm thinking back to that Moto 2 race, remember, where everyone crashed out at that corner, and it just all rained in one corner. And yeah,
that was a scary situation, really, wasn't it?
Because bike on fire, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was.
I remember, had a horrible crash in the middle of all that. Joe Roberts went on and won the race. Remember, Jake Dixon was winning by a fair margin, wasn't he? And then threw it down the road.
That's right.
Again, it was just in the sketchy conditions. Sorry, Sylvan, you just saw something then, you pointed at the screen.
I was just pointing out all the patches,
Yeah.
There's still a lot of wet out there, yeah. And those riders, so some riders are with the slicks, some riders are with the wet tires, and yeah, these are very tricky conditions.
Your man had a good day at the office yesterday, Sylvan. Joan Zarco looked good, didn't he, across the sessions?
Looked strong, and it's good for Joan because, he's obviously, he excelled, like in the first half of the season, he was really, really strong. And his form sort of, it felt like he went away a little bit. When he didn't quite get the new chassis in the same time as Mir and Marini in the factory team, he's sort of like, I don't know if that put him off or the package overhaul for him. He didn't quite get the little bump that he was expecting, and now it looks like he's put it all back together. He was really strong yesterday. Looking good on pace, looking good on time attack, and yeah, more of a, let's say, the Joan Zarco that we've seen at the start of the season.
It feels like such a rider's circuit. I love the way you Alex Marquez, and you pointed out, Neil, described it as you just got to let the track be the track, effectively. Yeah. I love that. Because it is that kind of circuit, isn't it?
I heard that he'd said that, and it was just so funny because I've been trying to explain what it's like to ride, and actually that just hits the nail on the head. Because it's so unusual. Like this part of the track, as you come up over this tabletop, it's huge, flat on the top, then it drops right down. You can find yourself fighting against it. So you have to try and have a relatively stable bike underneath you, but you play a part of that. Because it's so unusual, you find yourself holding on a bit tight to gripping the handlebars. And if you do, you tie the bike in knots. So essentially what Alex Marquez said was, you've just, to let the bike go, you've just got to allow, you know what the track's going to be like, and you've just got to go with it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you mentioned stable there. And two of the people who were fastest yesterday didn't necessarily look that stable. Pedro Acosta being one of them looked, not saying wild isn't the right thing, but looked all action. Marco Bezzecchi as well also looked, the bike didn't look like the planted Aprilia we've seen at times. It looked a little bit nervous, but they were both fast.
Yeah, the bike did look nervous underneath Marco Bezzecchi. There's, I mean, it's
Joan Mir, in fact. His bike looked nervous, didn't it?
Yeah, but that depends a lot, like Neil said, also of the rider's input. It's very hard around this track to sort of override the bike, and you got all these fast corners where you carry lean, but they are also quite bumpy. There's more bumps than last year as well. Some riders have commented it's getting sort of a little bit worse and worse with the bumps, and obviously if you're not smooth and relaxed on the bike, when you go over those bumps at high speed with high lean, it's gonna unsettle the bike, it's gonna make it really nervous, and it's gonna make it really physical as well. So it's a very complex track around here, and you've got to try and find the right balance, which it looks like yesterday Alex Marquez had. You know, it just looked good. It looks everything, you know, was flowing nice, and he was so strong in the last sector, especially Alex Marquez with that those fast right-handers.
Yeah, fascinated to hear the conversation here between Bagnaia and Bulega. Of course, Nicolo riding in World Superbike, runner-up to Top Rack in World Superbike this year, has had a fantastic season and becomes really the favourite for the championship next year in World Superbikes. He will be doing that while simultaneously taking on testing duties for the 850 Ducati, who, of course, as they move on to Pirellis, he brings that Pirelli experience. And of course, they'll have been together in the VR46 Academy years ago. Bulega chose to step out of the comfort blanket, shall we say, of being under Valentino Rossi's wing. And actually, in the long term, it's worked for him. At one point, I thought it was the wrong decision when he was tootling around at the back in Moto2. And I don't think that's too disrespectful, because he was just not even troubling the scorers most weeks at the end of his Moto2 career. And look where he is now.
I know, I've got to say, it is incredible. And I didn't see it coming. I don't think anyone did, really, when he left this paddock to go and do World Supersport. Obviously, we knew he was a class rider, but like you said, in his last season in Moto2, he was between 15th and 25th a lot, wasn't he? Like, yeah, battling for basically P nowhere. And it was like, well, all the hype was wrong, because there was a lot of hype about him. But he's done it sort of the hard way. He's had to rebuild his confidence, and he did straight away. He went to World Supersport, was incredibly fast. Obviously moved straight to World Superbike in the factory team, and has not been slow, has he? He's been fast ever since he got in World Superbikes, and he's been the only rider to really push Top Rack.
And on Pirellis, they seem to work for him, seem to suit his style. He's become very, very smooth as well, the way
really smooth.
He rides.
Loads of corner speed.
Yeah.
And the way he picks the bike up exactly how you need to if you want to be a good MotoGP rider.
So as we see Joan Mir taking a leap over the top there, that's down towards turn 9. Michael has gone out onto the racetrack, finds himself at the final corner. What can you see, Emlav?
Not a lot at the moment, Gav. Everyone's gone down pit lane, to be honest, as you know. But yeah, we're at the turn 15, which is arguably the most important corner on the racetrack. 4th gear, fast entrance. You come over this little hump on the approach. The bikes extend over the top. Now with MotoGP Aero, you can see the bike actually stays a little bit more planted. The rider's body actually extends over the top. And then such an important wide 4th gear, building through the torque, and you don't shift to 5th until you go over that rise onto the front straight. You can see the overnight rain has washed any rubber that was laid yesterday. It's gone, so we've got still quite a patchy last turn. The riders in the wet weather tyres this morning look a little tentative over the top. Quite bumpy as well once you extend that little rise here at turn 15. Takes a moment to settle and then turn, but watching Alex Marquez around here yesterday, the Ducati looked so planted. Picked up the throttle, kept turning on the gas. That's so important here, having enough trail in the bike that when you open the throttle, the bike continues to turn and hook the line for that second apex where Digi's just approaching now. And right here beside us is Manuel Poggiali's camera. He did set it up and then he left. He is Ducati's rider coach. He will be filming, leaving that static camera there, filming every single rider around the track, because the importance of getting onto this straight. It's where you can make the overtakes into turn 1. It's where the pole lap will come from. And I probably would suggest this is where they will focus on getting off this turn as much as anywhere else on the racetrack.
Yeah, thanks, Emlav. Yeah, sorry you can't see much out there. I was out of that corner yesterday, and it's a fantastic place to watch. And as you rightly said, there was a load of rubber. You could see distinctly where I was there for MotoGP, and you could see where Moto2 and Moto3 had left all their lines that little bit wider, rolling, trying to carry the corner speed. And MotoGP much tighter to get drive actually out, through and out, and you were leaving massive amounts of lines. You could see nothing there actually. So obviously the rain has been heavy enough to watch that away. But I am intrigued by Manuel Podjali. There you have him, two-time world champion. Not bad to have as your spotter, isn't it?
Yeah,
to have the Podge in your corner.
He's obviously very experienced. Do you know what? He's one of those riders who's never aged as well. I look at him now and he still looks like he's about 28 years old.
And plays football. He's too fast for me. He keeps taking me on and absolutely destroying me. He plays so well. You know when he left, and there was a lot of mental health issues, I think, around him. His father had died young, and you know, success had come to him early, and he stopped. He just stopped in the middle of his career. Was touted to have a Yamaha ride in MotoGP. It never happened for him. He went and played like semi-professional football, but
I didn't realise that.
Football style it was indoor, but he played semi-professional level. Really decent. He's a really decent footballer.
Also, I remember at the time all those, let's say, discussions about mental health. It was before it was a subject that was ever spoken about. Do you remember, obviously, Podjali had his struggles, and it was all like, you see, he's just not mentally tough enough, and it was like, obviously...
He won 2 World Championships.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot more to it. So, yeah, what a great guy.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Just setting up the camera. And what they're doing there, Sylvan, and Michael alluded to it, is they'll be basically getting some footage when they can of Alex Marquez, who is the fastest in that part of the racetrack, and then showing that back to Pecco Bagnaia and Nicolo Bulega, saying, look, this is where Alex is making it. They'll be ghosting them over the top and trying to give them anything they can to try and help their progress over the weekend.
That's it. It's a great tool to be comparing, riders, comparing as well the different bikes, the different manufacturers, different strength that anybody has, on a certain portion of track. So, you can look at the sectors and that gives you an indication. But when you can see the videos, especially with those software now where they can put them on top of each other, it's very telling and it's very helpful as a tool. To understand where is your weaknesses and where is your strengths as well. Sometimes you get surprised, you found corners where you think you were not that good and actually things are working quite well there. So it's a great tool.
It doesn't lie, is the way.
No.
And it's so funny what you've said there, Sylvan. It's made me think, like, for example, let's say you know you're losing a load of time on the last corner, right? You know that. So, and you think to yourself, do you know what? I think I'm sort of hesitant on the way in, so I need to push a bit faster on the first part of the corner. The information you get from somewhere like from Manuel Podjali filming everybody, it'll actually turn out you're rushing the first part of it. Actually,
you're going too hot, and then you're losing time in the middle.
Yeah, and you exit, and all the time's gone there. But you can't see that, or you can't work that out unless you've got someone filming on that corner. So it is really interesting.
Yeah, you have all the lines on your telemetry and they tell a story, tell a certain story, but when you've got a visual representation of that, it makes such difference. The video analysis is key. Just a word on Jack Miller, who is out on slicks.
Obviously, the first one out.
Fabio Quartararo's followed him straight out to go out there on slicks.
Well, that's sketchy. You see what I was talking about, where you can't really see where it's wet and where it's not. It's hard there because it's over a crest. And you got all that, that blinding sun there where it's very, very hard to tell. So yeah, I mean, Jack Miller, we know he's brave, but these are very sketchy conditions. Only 15 minutes left in that FP2.
It is interesting though, if you think of this paddock's now got a lot of ex-riders all working as spotters. Some of them do it with where they are filming, and the level's gone up. And it's interesting because I've sent a message off John McGuinness, who I think he's touting for a job. He's just said, just a made-up job for ex-riders, that camera job. and that's the sort of analysis you can get from John McGuinness, you see. Just a made-up job, that. I love it. So I'm guessing John don't fancy he's
not in the ring. That is hat definitely in the ring.
Yeah. The only reason John's saying that is because he's done this before to try and help other people out, but he's filming on his iPhone whilst chatting to someone. It's not quite the same.
Not in focus.
Not in focus. Glad you're listening, John.
Yeah.
Say hello to Becky from me.
We've been looking after you in here this weekend. Just putting him around the paddock, chat with him in the paddock. Jack Miller's pushing on the pace here at the front. Just a measure of lap times. 1:37.9 was Alex Marquez's fastest yesterday. All-time lap record of 37.2. And of course, Jack's just done a 1:50. Probably going to go down to try 1:40 in this lap.
Oh, we're sort of like 10 seconds off. This is almost a window where you're not quite activating the tires, and so it just shows you how difficult the conditions are. You can see the first marks being laid out, and the track is absolutely green now. It's been completely washed out during the night, so there's no rubber, loads and loads of patches, and yeah, 13 minutes to go before qualifying.
Hang on,
this is going to be interesting qualifying.
Just to finish the circle of the John McGuinness, I've had an update from Alex Lowe's, and he said, I seem to remember him doing the same job at a ref for Honda a few years back. And Alex said he was on the service road. He ended up chatting to John, so John's definitely done this job.
Had to be Jack though, didn't it? Going out in this session. First of all, pushing off.
Me.
It's like he feels he has an obligation to do.
I know.
Because like no one's going to go for this. I'm just going to have to do it.
I think he loves it.
I think
he waits for it, and he's like, yeah, we can do it now.
And it is.
It's also making.
And he is very talented at it.
Yeah, that's it.
Finding that grip, making the tires work when the conditions are, not really supposed to be ready yet for the slicks. He's very, very good at that. And
it will turn into an advantage, because you look now, the session's ticking away with 12 minutes left.
It's not going to dry out, is it?
It's not going to be completely dry. So Jack will know exactly where all the spots are, the bits of the track where you can risk a little bit more.
He had a spill yesterday, didn't he, down at turn 5, and you felt like it was because of the rain. It was starting to spit around that time. In fact, yesterday, the ones who got their lap in just timed it right. Obviously, the rain came at the end, stopped people who went out. You had to have a close eye on your radar, didn't you, to see when the rain was coming. But I just don't think anyone could have got accurately, because it wasn't like it was throwing it down yesterday. It was sort of hanging in the air, like a missile.
A bit like a mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A strange one, and Jack was unfortunate in that moment. He'll hope to be able to go through. Remember, he has to go through Q1 alongside the likes of Luca Marini, Morbidelli, who would expect to be up there. That's Paolo Pavesi on the right.
Might be a big advantage to go through Q1 today.
Yeah.
Getting track knowledge.
That last corner.
If you get through.
You
know what I mean? As in, like,
that last corner looks really wet still.
Yeah, on the apex. But yeah, I think the guys that are going to get through Q1 are going to get a good chance at pole position, because track knowledge, and as in like where the patches are and where the green piece is going to be key to to the ultimate lap time today.
Unsurprisingly, Pedro Acosta within a 10th of Jack Miller's time. He's got a measure of this circuit. He's got a feeling this weekend as Pedro. You can sense it, can't you? He's avoiding all talk of the possibility of a maiden MotoGP win, but the performance he gave us on his second ride as a rookie last year, we were instantly thinking, well, he's going to win a race in the next couple. It didn't come. It still hasn't come. And you just feel like this track and him, the special feeling there. He's been successful here in Moto3 and Moto2, and yeah, you just have that sense, don't you, for Pedro?
You do. I'll tell you what I do feel sorry for just right now, just thinking about it, is Buliga. As in, he's done day one. You just need then, bear in mind, he was only a second off. He was fantastic yesterday. They'll have made some changes, and he'll have been so up for getting stuck into a dry session to evaluate those changes, understand the bike a bit more. And he's had this session, which is, you learn nothing.
And in those conditions, a superbike on Pirellis is like more forgiving. This sort of like cooler conditions with patches with the MotoGP bikes. Everything can go wrong very quickly. So for Bulega, that's a very treacherous session.
One thing I'm thinking here as well is, if you find some traffic, it is not going to be easy to get past. You're going to have to put yourself in a treacherous situation like this to try and get past someone.
So that's 4th gear, last turn, and that's Pulega hesitating, you know, because obviously he's never ridden in those conditions with the MotoGP bike, with the Michelin tires. And you go into there, last turn, you dive into there, there's patches everywhere, it's 4th gear, it's bumpy, you know, all you have to do is place yourself in the wrong, you know, in the wrong spot, or touch the throttle just a little bit too much,
and you're
having a big one.
You've got a big headache, haven't you? Because it's going to flick you so violently like these MotoGP bikes do.
Touching the curb
That was touching the curb, wasn't it?
Jack Miller had a lap off and then came in. I think Jack might have said, listen, I found the limit we're going to get here at this moment in time.
I thought he just passed Puliga, didn't I? Is that not him?
It was Oliveira.
Was it Oliveira?
Yeah, Miguel's gone, had gone top, then Quartararo has taken over, so the Yamahas 1, 2 and 3.
Oh, what a shame for Oliveira. Looked like he had a really difficult day yesterday.
Yeah, I felt for him. Did you see the lovely video? He had picked the kid out who was dressed in full Miguel gear, the team gear, and he picked him out, and this kid was in floods of tears. Picked him out, gave him a hug, shoved him on the bike, photos with him. It was a really heartwarming, touching little thing. One, you know, you just think about that little kid is going to remember that for the rest of his life.
I love stuff like that. You see, Marc Marquez does that a lot with some of his younger fans. It's pretty cool when you see it.
Hey, in general, I have to say, across the board, the MotoGP,
they're all pretty
riders
good,
all pretty decent, I have to say.
You say that, and it's so funny because all the MotoGP riders are of a generation where they have been schooled in PR. You know, like the generation before weren't as, obviously, PR savvy. And let's say a bit more rough around the edges with things like that. So, yeah, I can't think of one real arrogant MotoGP rider now. I could think of some in the past.
Absolutely.
Sat next to one. I'm joking. Someone was never arrogant, obviously.
You talking about him now?
Yeah, we know what a diva he is.
Probably finished work at 1 a.m.
I was giving him some stick last night, calling him the world's most boring man, because I'm like, tell us who your favourite rider is, and he didn't want to commit, and then he eventually committed and did commit and said Joel Kelshoff, and I'm like, come on, give us your real one.
Company man. Of course, Joel is joining Emilab's team in Moto3 next year. It's an exciting prospect for both. Just 7 minutes to go in this free practice session for MotoGP. A reminder, next up on the menu is MotoGP qualifying, and as you can see, the lap times are still 8 seconds away from the fastest laps of yesterday, and yet in about 15 minutes time, people are going to have to be going out hell for leather. They are going to have to put in the fastest laps they can around this circuit.
Some riders have not been out yet. I don't understand that, because you'd want to go and have a look.
Well, I think everyone now has just gone out. Raul Fernandez, but I can imagine
he's a bit sore.
It's a bit like,
I heard
what's the risk?
He actually, his shoulder popped out and went back in, so he'll be in a lot of pain.
It looked like that, didn't it? Because he was desperate to get the leathers open. I felt, for me, and we all described it as a bit of daze or shock or something. I think it was instant pain with the airbag and a dislocation, all that at once.
He went back in straight away, but
open up my leathers. That.
Yeah. Guess what? That's going to hurt, isn't it?
Yeah. And he doesn't need another spill now in the morning to make that worse. Joan Mir's got something this weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I know he's just gone up into second. It's easy to say, but he looks up for it. Second podium he's had.
Well, since the flyaways, he's been on fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, second podium in Malaysia. Had one in Japan as well, and they've been his first two with Honda, and suddenly he's got the taste for it again.
I like to see Joan Mir ride when he's on the edge ladder and when he's confident, because he commits and he makes his time in the braking and corner entry, so you can see, like, visually see the bike moving around a lot. He's a good rider to watch.
Yeah, when you look at his story of what he's been through since winning the World Championship, it's been, that was a really good shot. You could see the shiny wet patch.
He wouldn't have seen it.
He would have, absolutely. At that speed, when you sat on the motorcycle, it's really hard to see those sorts of patches. Tell you what though, he'll have felt it.
Well, you see his lap time dropped. He'll need a new set of underwear, I think, after that one.
But it just shows how you go over a damp patch like that and how the bike reacts.
through Craig Jones corner, turn 9. What are we talking there?
Fourth gear.
Fourth gear, yeah.
120.
130, I was thinking, yeah.
You don't want to high side at that speed.
No.
Oh, you're going to the moon there if you're high side there on the corner exit.
It does offer up the possibility here. We might have not a jumble grid, because obviously the top 10 went through
That's
as
put
they
him
did
off
yesterday.
a bit. Are we going to see the full... Yes.
Here we go again. We're going to see it in slow motion, just step out here. There you can see the wet patch just ahead of him now. There we are. Oh, little squirt. No.
You can see all the patches there, what it's like.
So that's the thing. If you want to commit to the full racing line, the fast line, you're going to have to go across puddles.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to apply the throttle in the normal way that you would. Yeah, I was thinking if Alex Marquez wasn't necessarily getting up to speed in these conditions, we might have a bit more of a topsy-turvy grid, but it looks like he's starting to gather a feel for it. He's looked great this weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's looked in control this weekend. If you're already through to qualifying 2, that's another, if you think, by the time you're out on track in anger, that's going to be another, what's that, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, about that.
Well, it's 15 and then the 10 in between.
Exactly. So you would, well, you know the track's going to be in a completely better shape after Q1. So I guess if you're Alex Marquez, and he's having some installation laps,
Just gone quickest.
deep down in your head, you'd be thinking, I think it's irrelevant what the track looks like at this second, because definitely by the time I go out in qualifying 2, it should be dry.
Rossini 1-2. They are now 5 seconds off the lap times from yesterday. All-time lap record still stands for Marc Marquez on a Honda.
That seems so weird, doesn't it? And that's
2023.
And that's Marc Marquez post, obviously, all injuries.
Everything,
and
yeah.
It's not like that's when he was riding with 1.5 arms. Really. That was before the big op, wasn't it? Before they rotated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was after.
Was it?
I'm trying to remember.
There's been that many operations.
Yes. He had the one when he came back, didn't he, in 21. This is one when he came back. Was it here that he actually came back after the arm operation? And he looked...
He got poled, didn't he? And then he had a decent sprint, and then he crashed. Then he locked the front in turn 3
and
took out Miguel Oliveira, obviously.
Yeah, but if you're going to hit anyone on an opening lap, it's going to be Miguel, isn't it?
Yeah. Poor Miguel.
MotoGP's rolling skittle. I do feel for Oliveira. There's been a lot of discussion about it this week, losing his ride, a lot of discussions about contracts. Obviously, he had a contract. And are they worth the paper they're written on, so on and so forth? There's arguments both ways. We'd like to keep the Portuguese rider in the championship. We'd also like to bring Toprak in. We'd like to bring another nationality into the championship. It's so many things are tied up in it. He hasn't had the results. Is the other fact of the matter?
Yeah. Even though he's had, that's a lot of that's down to bad luck. It's still, your currency is the result. And in a way, we've seen what Bullig has done. He's done one day on a bike, and a MotoGP bike, and it's shown that, do you know what, there is talent out there. I'm talking, of course, of Toprak coming in. That's who's obviously replacing Miguel Oliveira.
And sometimes it feels as though some riders do have a longer career and don't get dropped out of the championship. And I wouldn't want anyone to lose their careers or lose the opportunities, but you want more riders to get opportunities in some respect. I remember thinking that in the, when you came into MotoGP in 2004, and they were really hard to come by, and then when you got a ride, it was an awful package that you got. But around that time, there were people, Carlos Checkers, Alex Barros, and people who were there. They were there every year. They got a result or two every year that it felt like keep going, and it felt like every now and then there wasn't a refreshment of talent in the paddock.
Yeah, you're right, definitely.
I think we do get that a little bit more now, but still, it just shows. I think I mentioned it the other day. Bradley Smith had said it on a podcast in the USA, and the feeling is actually the top 100 riders in the world, not that much of a dissimilar level in terms of outright talent. There are a couple then that stand out at the top, but a lot of it is sliding doors moments are moments that
could not
just
agree
happen.
more. Yeah, could not agree more. And your team, as we've discussed many a time, plays a huge part in how your season goes. Oh, he's had a terrible year. Well, actually, do you know what? His team weren't that good. In reality, his crew
His
chief
bike
wasn't
wasn't that good. Or
Well, yeah.
he had injuries, and it's...
Well, that's again, then we've gone in full circle back to Miguel Oliveira, who's not on the best bike, really. He isn't.
Well, he's going to be the only Category D concession bike as of this weekend, probably.
That point quite nicely.
So Joan Mir is going to come around the final corner. Is he going to take over just at the checker flag from Fermin Aldeguer? Just to back up that point. Third. Rossini 1 and 2. Mir into third spot, but encouraging for him. Aldeguer is already through to Q2, as is Alex Marquez, as is Mir, Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Acosta, Zarco. In fact, your top 8, including Paul Espargaro, are already through to Q2. So I'm just thinking of Q1 now, where Jack Miller finds himself, Brad Binder finds himself, 9 and 10 at the moment. Or Ralph Fernandez actually is another one in that Q1 session. I'm just thinking of who might be able to now dance around these damp patches and find a way through into Q2, sneak through the back door.
You've seen the best lap time we've seen there is a 41.6. I think they'll do, in Q1, I think they'll do 30... I think they'll do 38.
8, I was going to say.
Because they're out circling around on used tyres as well. You put a fresh tyre in, obviously there is going to be less damp patches in the next 10 minutes, so I think we're going to see some decent lap times.
Right, we'll take a breather from the action when we come back. We are going qualifying here at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Fermin Aldeguer topping that free practice second in damp conditions.
Yeah, Fermin Aldeguer going top, the yellow flag out on the circuit. That is a standard procedure as well for the practice starts to take in. Fermin Aldeguer on top from Alex Marquez, Juan Mir, Marco Bezzecchi, Pecco Bagnaia, Pedro Costa, Johan Zarco, Ralph Fernandez, Paul Espargaro coming in there, Jack Miller, the top 10, Brad Binder, Fabio Di Antonio, Nicola Bulliger, Sonka Chancha, Miguel Oliveira, Fabio Quartararo, Lorenzo Salvadori, Luca Marini, Enea Bassini, Aigura, Alex Rins, and Franco Morbidelli in the order. So, as the riders will return to the pit lane, we will also move away and go over to JB Motorsports for all of the action for qualifying. You'll be automatically redirected. We'll see you there. Take care.